on, BD Wolfgang 1980 here, aka Bezell. I hope you're doing well. I certainly am. Welcome to your Flash Episode 2 review here on Bezell Speaks. And the show started off with a recap of last week's episode. And let me tell you, once I saw last week's episode, I was hooked. So I figured I'd go ahead and start this series up and give you guys reviews on the show. I'm enjoying it a lot. I hope you are too. But we get a recap of last week, and then it starts off with a chaotic fire in a building downtown, and Flash is on his way down there, and the fire department is minutes away. It shows them trying to rush down there as well. They're about 5 minutes away. They're not going to make it in time. Luckily, Flash to the rescue. He gets on in there and starts to bring out the people one by one. Obviously, he does it super fast, so they can't tell, who's helping them or what happens. All they know is they're in the fire 1 second, then the next second they're outside. So he never gets caught. See here. Then he ends up going back to Star Labs. But before he does that, on his way back to Star Labs, he kind of stops for a minute, after he's done running, and he feels a little lightheaded or a little funny. That's our first hint that something was wrong tonight with him. He gets back, and he's getting chewed out by Dr. Snow, Caitlin Snow, and forget the other guy. The other guy's name is Cisco. He doesn't chew him out. He just kind of has the whole "I told you so" look, dude. I think you shouldn't have did that. Then they actually says that the sensors on his suit were showed that something, that there was a couple of algorithms that were unnormal or abnormal, and it was, asking, did you feel weird or was anything up, back there? And Flash actually lies and says, no, I feel great, never been better. Work calls, and he has to run down to a crime scene. Looks like this was at either a gun shop or a pawn shop, something of that nature. And the, Detective West, or Joe, the actor that plays Barry's, I guess you want to say, his stepfather or adopted foster father, what do you want to call it? He's down there, and the pretty boy, I forget his name, guys, forgive me. Someone comment down below if you're the pretty boy detective that's dating Joe's daughter. I forget his name. I do not have it written down. But he's there, and they're all investigating, and he pulls up some of the surveillance footage of the robber or the robbery, and it just shows one guy come in, points a gun at the camera, and shoots it down. So then Barry finally arrives. He's late. He actually had to take clothes from a clothing store across the street, and he comes in still wearing the tags, and he gets down there. He starts working his gift, which is obviously he's a really good investigator, CSI type guy. He determines that there were 6 robbers here. They all had the exact same shoe. They all had the exact same shoe size. So, that gets people, the cops thinking, what on earth are the odds of that happening? See here. Next, Detective West, Joe, he gives Barry evidence of the murder of, excuse me, hold on, wait a minute. We're not there yet. I'm sorry, guys. Got my notes mixed up there for a minute. About to go out of order there. What the heck? What on earth did I do with this stupid? All right, here we go, guys. I'm sorry about that. I feel like such an idiot. Bear with me. Also, this is my first ever live stream, so there's going to be a few fails involved. We'll muster through this together. Okay, here we go. Next, we have a Man of the Year dinner. Yes, there we go. A professor or Dr. Stagg is being awarded the Man of the Year for his humanitarian work as far as medical research, making organs, helping out people and terminally ill people, giving them new organs and new lease of life. He's been named Man of the Year. Iris drags Barry down there to go with her because she's a journalist, and she wants to get a story on Mr. Stagg. So her and Barry, they're kind of messing around a little bit. Barry is really tempted. It's eating him alive to just grab Iris and just shake her and say, "I'm the Flash and I love you, but even more than I'm the Flash, I just love you." It's just killing him. He wants to tell her so bad. It kills him every time he sees her with that pretty boy. Well, things get exciting real quick. As Mr. Stagg is being led upstairs by his personal bodyguard, the bank robbers or the robbers of this pawn shop from earlier come in. Full mask, the whole 9 yards, guns ready to go. They come in, demand everyone's jewelry and wallets and things of that nature. a security guard, just one, going up against 6 armed men. He does his best to, hey, man, he's doing his job. He's a brave man. I give him credit. But he pulls his gun out and says, hey, drop your weapons, stop in the name of the law. And these guys ain't trying to hear that. They all shoot at the same time. All of a sudden, time slows down. And here comes the Flash zooming by. He grabs the security guard, literally takes him outside to safety. And then he runs back in. Excuse me, he takes the security guard to safety. And as soon as he does that, he drops down, he faints. Once again, that whole medical issue, about him using his powers is kicking in again. They go to the lab. Okay, the scene ends there because it goes to a commercial break. They go to the lab, and Barry's honest with him. He wants to tell him something's going on. Obviously, he needs some help. So they run some tests on him. He gets on this supersonic treadmill thing, and they determine that his glucose levels are really low, and he's not eating enough. So they come to the determination that, at your current state, I think Cisco broke it down. He said that you can easily eat over 800 tacos a day. Just to let you know, Flash is, we're going to see the Flash that we all know, the one that eats like a maniac. That's going to start happening. But that was what was wrong with him. He wasn't eating right. Joe finds Barry at Star Labs. He comes to the lab. They have a very heated and personal exchange. Barry goes below the belt with this one and tells him, hey, you're not my father. I mean, they got into it pretty good. He's like, hey, man, what's going on here? What are you doing? You think you're some hero? You can't do this. I don't want to see you get hurt. He says, I think he used the word, you're my son. No, you're my kid. I don't want to see you get killed out here trying to play a hero. And then, like I said, Barry goes below the belt, says, you're not my father. You never were, all this kind of stuff. It was real. It was sad. It was nasty, too, for Barry to do that. But so Joe leaves angrily. Now, we're taken to another scene. We're in a dark alley. Oh, isn't this great? We're in a dark alley. We're in a dark alley, and we see a familiar face. It's that bodyguard that I said was escorting Mr. Stagg up the steps before the robbery happened. And he is actually talking with the crook, or one of the crooks, and they're arguing about how the assassination attempt didn't go down right. So the bodyguard says he's not going to pay him. And then the crook, who I believe, I'm not sure if they told us his name yet, but his name is Denton Black. But Black doesn't like being told he's not going to be paid, and so he either pushes the guy or gets in the guy's face. The guy hits him right in the mouth, tells him flat out, you can't take me without the rest of your buddies. So the other guy leaves. He's walking to his car, and we see Denton Black do this violent shaking and moaning and screaming, and next thing you know, there's about 6 or 7 clones. They all rush down and they kill the bodyguard. Okay, there we go. Now, page 2 of the notes. We get back to the police station, and Joe gives Barry evidence of the murder of the bodyguard. And then, as Joe leaves, bear in mind, Joe and Barry still aren't on good speaking terms. The last time they talked was that argument at the lab. So Iris walks in, and she scolds Barry as well, like, hey, what's going on? Something's not right. You're not telling me anything. Why is my dad mad at you? Oh, she was upset too. I barely see you. And Barry's just dying to tell her. Once again, it's killing him. He wishes he could tell her everything. I love you. I'm the Flash. And what they do is this scene had a really cool segment. Flash stops time, and you guys know what I'm talking about. He moves so fast he just sits still and look like he stops time. They show Iris pouring some sugar into her coffee, and it stops midair, and Barry's like beside her saying, I love you. And he moves to the other side. I want to be with you. I'm the Flash. He just does all these quick segments, and the sugar never even drops 1 grain. So we got to see Flash actually stop time, which is, one of his powers. Okay, that scene ends there, and then we're flash forward to the Stagg building, and Joe, Detective West, is questioning with Pretty Boy. They're both questioning Mr. Stagg about, hey, why is this, attempt made in your life? Why is someone trying to assassinate you? Do you know anything about this Denton Black character? And as he, starts to tell him a little bit about him, about how he's a former employee and he wouldn't want to kill me. As soon as he says that, a gun is drawn, and the shootout starts immediately. At this point, I believe Pretty Boy got Mr. Stagg out of the way after Joe said, hey, I'm going to give you some cover fire. Now, while Joe was doing that, he sees Black get on the ground and actually morph. So he saw it with his own eyes. He sees him, clone up. He sees that with his own eyes. So now we know that Denton Black is this one-man army. Okay, here we go. Well, luckily, the Flash arrives. He does arrive in full suit, ready to go. He's suited up. He gets Joe outside. He does. He gets Joe outside and just locks the door, runs back in. He takes on Black, which at this point is 6 of them, and they get, Flash gets whooped. He doesn't even. He had a come to Jesus moment. I mean, he got whooped on this one, and he realized that, hey, there are some limits. I may be fast, but there are limits to what I can do. Back at the lab, Flash and the crew discuss Black's condition in his anger. They give Barry scientific evidence of what the heck is going on with this guy, how he's able to do what he's doing, and why he's so angry at Stagg. Well, it turns out that he did used to work for Stagg. He was developing the ability to clone organs and things of that nature. And apparently Stagg had stole his research from him and fired him before he could finish, or, before he could take the glory for his work and do what it was he had set out to do with it, which we will find out the real reason he was trying to do this later. We'll find that out later. Barry worries that, hey, after that first encounter, I don't know if I can take this guy, you guys. I mean, I got whooped. What am I supposed to do? So he leaves in doubt. He almost has that, I believe you said, or either hints at the point that, this might be the last time you see the Flash. This is a bit much. Okay, we have a flashback scene here. We flash back to a young Barry, and he runs all the way to jail to see his dad. Against Joe's wishes, he runs to jail, and his dad comes out and tells him, hey, it's not Joe that doesn't want you here. It's me. I want you to see me like this. He shows him himself in the handcuffs, and he's like, you do what Joe tells you to do now. You mind him. He's gonna watch you till I get out of here, and you be the good boy me and your mother used to know. And Joe shows up in the background, and he's just standing there, but he heard what Barry's father said about him, and I think it brought a tear to his eye. But he was. This is a really good episode, guys. You want to talk about emotions? I mean, what a good show. Barry goes, we flash back to present time, or flash forward to present time. Barry meets Iris at a coffee shop. Okay, here we go. Yeah. And then they're sitting there chit-chatting about, hey, how come you didn't show up the other night? And apparently Barry had forgot to meet Iris to help her work on her journalism project. And she says, well, hey, instead I have something else I want to show you. I'm thinking about trying to do a story. Have you heard about this Blur guy, or they call him the Streak? There's all these rescues, and people keep saying they were like zoomed, and they're in danger 1 second, and there's a flash or a streak, and next thing you know, they're safe. Have you heard anything about this? No, I didn't know. Barry plays it off. No, I didn't. And then we flash forward to another scene that just immediately cuts. Joe and Mr. Stagg, Joe, the Detective West, he goes to Stagg, who is this, the Man of the Year guy, the guy that's being hunted by Denton Black, and he offers him police help. But Stagg is very adamant about how he doesn't want any help. He's got money. I got my own security force. I'll handle it. Let's see here. Joe and Wells. Wells is the main guy at Star Labs, the main professor. He asked if he knew about Barry, but after the lightning. So what he's wondering is, why were you one of the first people to visit Barry when no one knew what really happened to him? So Joe was getting a little suspicious of Harrington Wells, which, after the way it ended last week, he'd be a very smart man to be suspicious. So it's very interesting, guys. Very intriguing. Now we get back to Barry and Iris. They're, like I said, they cut back to them. They're talking about still how, what's going on with this? Is there a superhero out there? Is there an alien? What's going on? And the phone rings. Black is at Star Labs. Can you believe this? He's in the lab. I mean, how did he find out, Flash's hangout and everything? So Flash hurry up, he gets his tail down there, and as soon as he gets there, keep wanting to call her Dr. Frost, but Dr. Snow is there, and Cisco and Harrington Wells. They're all in there, and Barry sees Denton Black just standing there. And they're like, whoa, 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 don't kill him, don't hurt him. He's just a clone. He's like, well, what's this clone doing here? And Dr. Snow says, well, we made him. We had a piece of him off of your suit, and then we were able to regenerate it and make a clone out of him, because it's basically that's what his DNA is built to do, because of what he had done to himself trying to make all these organs. So because of this, they tell Barry how to attack him. We figured out his weakness. He's gonna have issues like you were having. He's gonna have to, have some type of fatigue working. Well, Barry's really not trying to hear that, because he's at this point he's ready to throw in the towel. I mean, he said he quit pretty much, and then all of a sudden Joe shows up again. As soon as he sees the clone, he shoots it. He didn't know, didn't ask no questions, and then he asks for the Flash's help. He's like, look, we're gonna need your help. Police can't take this guy out, and I got a feeling he's gonna, he's at Stag Labs. So Flash suits up. We cut to a commercial. We're back. We're at Stag Labs. Black shows up, kills the so-called new security guards, if you want to call them that. And let's see. Oh yeah, talk about action, guys. I'm all over the place on this review. I'm sorry, but man, this was a good episode to watch and take notes for you guys. I really wanted to talk to you about it. But Flash shows up. He gets Stag to safety first. Then we got an epic shootout. Oh man, special effects were on point on this one. We see the bullet time. Flash does all his signature dodges, and he's faster than the bullets, and he starts to get in on Black a little bit, and he's trying to fight the clones. Yeah, we got an epic fight / shootout. Let me get to my last page here. And now, as they're fighting in typical hero versus good guy fashion, we have Black explaining his motives and the reasons why he's doing everything. Kind of like the old James Bond movies, guys. James Bond's ready to be executed. Dr. No, whoever starts talking. It was kind of that vibe was going on. It was good. But we find out the real reason why he wants to kill Stag and why he's doing what he's doing. Apparently, when he was doing all this research to learn how to make new organs and things like that, he was trying to do it for his wife. His wife was on borrowed time. She was terminally ill. And when Stag pulled away the research and fired him, he never had a chance to save her. So at that point, it's a blood feud. He doesn't care. He's got nothing to live for, and he'll die. He'll die for this, basically. And then after he tells Barry this as he's shooting him, just to keep you in mind of the scene, he's shooting. Barry's running while the guy's just talking away, but he keeps trying to shoot the Flash and misses while he's telling that story. Finally, he says enough is enough. This guy splits and clones himself into probably easily 100 guys. Easily, maybe even more. It was a whole room full of guys. It ends up going outside as well. Then from there, we kick it into another gear of these cool special effects. This fight scene was awesome. Flash was running through the crowd. He's hitting each one, trying to find who the real Denton Black was. He's all over the place. Punch here, punch there, kick there. They start to gang up on him, and they're overwhelming him. He's panicking, doesn't know what to do. And of course, the team back at Star Labs, they're always in Flash's ear. He's got his headsets on. And they tell Flash, remember what we told you now, Barry. He's gonna have some type of fatigue. He's gonna have something showing that he's controlling these guys. I mean, especially with this great, this big of a number. I mean, he's gonna have to be doing something. And as Flash is going through the crowd and hitting and randomly, zooming and scoping out each one, he finally sees one that's got a big bead of sweat on his head coming down. And that's when he lays into him, gives a good big time Flash punch, knocks his butt out. He's down on the ground. All the other clones drop down, because at that point they're just blanks, like the one was at the laboratory that Detective West shot. Because without Black controlling them, they're just basically just there. They don't even move. So they dropped once he was knocked out. Okay, now. Immediately after that, Barry's kind of on the headset. Hey, I got him. Everything's fine. Well, as soon as he said that, Black got back up and he rushes at Barry. Come on, bad move, dude. He's the Flash. Flash just sidesteps, moves out the way, and Black goes crashing through a window. Flash hurries up and runs to him, holds his hand out to try to help him up. He grabs his hand. He's starting to slip a little bit. He's like, come on, man, just, give me, don't do it. Don't let it go. I'll get you up. The guy even grows another hand out of his hand. So, guys, he had two hands come up. Excuse me, on the one side, if you can see that. He's holding Flash's hand here, then another hand grew and grabbed more of the Flash's arm. It was freaking cool. I mean, this show is on point, guys. I hope you like it as much as I do. Seems like we got a couple of viewers here. If you guys are fans, if you haven't seen it before, check it out. Highly recommend it. Comment down below, tell me what you think if you have seen it. Okay, so he goes to the window. He tries to save him, as I said, even to the point where the guy grew two hands. He was trying to get up there, but he ends up slipping and he ends up falling. We do learn that he did die because they're watching the news. After the commercial break, the show comes back and we're at Star Labs, and Wells, Barry, Dr. Snow, Cisco, they're all watching the news about how the crook or the robber or whatever had fallen to his death. But then there's a lot going on here. That's why there's a lot of cuts. We then cut back to the police station. Joe walks in. He's got 3 big old pizzas and kind of like a little peace offering, and they sit and chit chat. He reveals to Barry that he knows about how his desire to do what he's doing basically boils down to him wanting to save his dad. He let him know that he saw his he saw his secret. He had a little bulletin board up with all the news clippings. He saw that. He let him know, hey, we can rescue him together. Let's do this. They still haven't explained the significance of Joe and Barry's dad. I don't know if Barry's dad was a cop or what. I don't think they said anything about him being a cop. I thought he was some type of researcher or something, but they acted like they're good buddies. They really did, because when they were in the jail scene earlier, he looked over at Joe and he kept referencing him as Joe instead of Mr. So-and-so. So I'm going to assume they're buddies. Maybe they'll expound upon that later on in the show. But Joe has a desire to help Barry, and he wants to help get his father free. He wants to free them together. Then they got emotional. Barry apologized to Joe about getting too low like that, about telling him the whole "you're not my father" and all that kind of stuff. He apologized to him because that definitely wasn't called for. And so then Joe sits down, they eat a little pizza together, and they just show some chit-chatting as they pan out. All right, now it's time to the last scene of the show. Stagg and Harrington Wells, the main doctor of the Star Labs, the one in the wheelchair, they're talking together. Now, when they were in front of the cops, they acted like they were bitter enemies. But now they're in the office together, chit-chatting. He just shows up and like, hey, what about that red guy? I mean, man, if we can figure him out, we'll have the key to the world. We can make us superhuman. We can do all these things. He said, I've got to catch him. And then Wells in that wheelchair stands up, which, shocked Stagg. Stagg's like, what the heck is going on? He says, his name is the Flash, says Wells. And he's the fastest man alive. And boom, he stabs Stagg and says, that's how we're going to keep him. And that's how the show ended, guys. Once again, another cliffhanger with involving Wells. And as far as him not being honest, and as far as he's up to something, he definitely doesn't need that wheelchair. So many ways you can go with this. First of all, great episode. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Kept me on the edge of the seat. But just to get into some random thoughts about the show, man, there's so many ways they can go with this. With Joe bringing up the suspicion of Wells being by Barry's side as soon as the accident happened. What really did happen? Did he get paralyzed and then tap into Barry somehow and was able to heal himself? Now he's just, living a lie in that wheelchair. I mean, what is going on with him? I'm really intrigued. I mean, is he the guy from the flashbacks? Did he kill Barry's mother? I mean, what is going on with him? I know a lot of you, some of you probably already know because you're probably big fans of maybe all that's explained in the comics. I don't know. But what a show. I mean, what a show. I can't wait till next week. Hope some of you, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. I believe you could probably go to the CW website and watch it directly, I'm going to imagine. But go out of your way and see this show. If you haven't seen it, if you're curious at all, get off the fence. This show is fun. It's entertaining. Great special effects. It's working my way up. It's working its way up into being one of my weekly treats. So I'm enjoying it. But comment down below. What do you guys think? Please share, like, subscribe. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this on up. And please be kind to one another. And we'll see you next time here at Bezell Speaks. Bezell out.